Calisthenics number 12. Yeah. Fly robotics. Bifocals, my only purpose is to feed the locals. I'm spreading love when I see you and gotta approach you. I see the goodness in you, I wouldn't John Wick you. I know you hustling for your family just to pay the fiscal. I see the God up in you, He bless your physical. While we navigating problems, the world is abysmal. Skip the one up, let's get it to the center. Your house is big as mine, we can always help each other. Affirmation smother, it ain't even cost me a dime to uplift my brother.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Vulnerability is the New Sexy. This is part 3 of our special 4-part series on relationships. It has been going really well. We have been getting some really good feedback. And today we are diving into something that might seem small, but actually has the power to make or break relationships. And that's how do we respond to each other's small little bids for connection. And if you don't know what that is, bids for connection are the little things that when your partner like sends a text, it's just to check in, when they want to share a story from their day, or when they reach for your hand while y'all walking together. It's how you respond to these moments that can either build intimacy or create distance over time. So many relationships, don't fall apart because of like these big explosive fights like we think, but because of these small everyday disconnections and little opportunities that we may be missing. So we're going to talk about in this episode what these little bids look like and how can we respond to them in ways that strengthen our relationship, and how to like stay emotionally present even when life is getting a little busy or overwhelming. And today I've got some, some credible guests joining me. You've seen a lot of these people before. Obviously, my brother Chris here is joined by his wife Maria, and they're a couple that I thought would be and provide some insight to this topic. Q and Jatoya, I've seen them on part 1 of the series, I believe, right? Was that part 1?
Part 1.
Yeah, okay. And then my wife, who is joining me again for part 3, out of that deathbed from episode 1, and thriving, as you can see. And then from last week, we're bringing Jeannie Johnson back, a therapist who deals with emotional connection and sees couples also. So hi everybody, how y'all doing? Everybody good? Okay, good.
Well, great.
All right.
Yes.
So Toy and Q, I'm just gonna get a little icebreaker question out here. I'm gonna ask y'all straight up. What is like one little thing that your partner does that that's a little bit for connection that you really appreciate, that they might think is a small thing, but it really makes you feel loved? Toy, I'll start with you.
I think for me, it's the embrace and the saying I love you before you walk out the door.
Yeah.
Like, don't just leave home without saying anything. That bothers me a lot.
Okay. All right. Like you bother right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't do that this morning, so it's not a big thing for sure.
All right.
I appreciate that she loved that. For me, it's just, hey, how your day going? She does it all the time. Sometimes she don't, but most of the time she do. And I love that. It's just like, oh, okay, she thinking about me. Or like, you need anything, like you good? Like how your day going? You having a bad one? I maybe could cheer you up a little bit. So I like that.
Cool. Chris, what about you, man? What's something that your wife does that?
Yeah. It is the way she follows me. Like in the beginning, we had a lot of button heads, and I had kind of made a lot of mistakes. And then these last couple of years, man, she's just really been like, even if he makes a mistake, I got his back, and that means the world to me because I can go up against anybody. But she was the one that could break me down, kind of. But now it's all lifting up, man. It's just a lot of lifting up. Even when I make mistakes, she kind of lets me just lead, and it just makes me to be more on point, man. And it's just like little things that we used to butt head. Now it's just like, just let him make a mistake, and then I just it's just little stuff like that that we're moving forward now because of stuff like that. So I think that she just really is my number one fan now, so that helps me a lot.
Now she's your number one fan, huh?
Yeah. Now. Yeah.
To grow into that.
Now.
I had to grow into that role. What about you, Maria?
Hey, we both did, though. We both did.
For me, I think it's the constant reminder of Chris to the kids to respect me, listen to me. Just that shows me love and that he thinks about that.
Oh man, that's actually a good one, man. I try to do that myself sometimes. Sometimes you gotta play referee with them kids. Because they be trying to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? My children are angels.
All right. I wasn't ready for that one. But what's something that your husband does that makes you feel loved?
Actually, I'm with you, Toya. Like the good morning, the kiss goodbye. Like, don't walk out the door. Don't walk out the door.
Okay. For real?
Yeah, seriously.
That means a lot to you, huh?
It does.
Okay.
So, like when you got up and went to the gym the other morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. We got a little. This little episode gonna be funny. All right. Yeah. For me, I think it's like when I mention that I need something, and then it like appears. You know what I mean? Like I'll be just talking randomly, whether it's I need some pencils in my office, and then the next day like some pencils will show up, and I'm like, damn. Just that little gesture right there be making me feel like, man, she really is supporting what I'm doing. It really it makes me feel kind of seen and heard, and I really appreciate those things. Jeannie, let me ask you something, man. Do you come across couples who are failing at bids for connection? And if you do, like, what are some of the things that you start out trying to get them to process in these moments?
Absolutely. Yes, I do come across a lot of clients who are feeling it. One, recognizing bids, even though they've been together for long periods of time, just because many of these things aren't outwardly spoken. Many of us actually, especially in relationships where there are two Black members of a couple, don't necessarily communicate their wants and needs in verbal language. A lot of the communication is nonverbal, and there are assumptions that sometimes get made that your partner knows and understands what you need, but it's actually not necessarily correct, and that your partner knows and understands when you're trying to connect with them. So I certainly get couples who are failing to recognize those bids, and oftentimes to see, as you asked about the barrier, what is the issue in them recognizing the bid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the issue and the barrier tends to be that they're overrun by work. They're overrun by being a father, being a mother. They have familial issues that are demanding of them at times. And so they're not connecting because they're not even connected to their own person, let alone trying to be connected to their partners.
Right. And sometimes I'm piggyback on this. Sometimes it looks like, your partner you coming home and you're like, hey, can we go for a walk? And you be like, no, I'm tired, or I don't feel like it, or something like that. And it's like, that might seem like something small, but what you're doing is you're missing an opportunity that your partner's taking to extend themselves to you. Have you thought about why are they asking you to go on that walk? What is it that they're trying to accomplish by doing it? Maybe they just want to, either get you alone or have a conversation with you, share some intimate details about the things that, that went on during their day. And by you saying no, consistently saying no, because I know some people come home and like, man, or for one, and I can say an opportunity, and maybe y'all can think about this too, an opportunity that seems like sometimes a missed bid for connection is like, at times I would ask like Donna to go to the gym with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she always says no. You know what I mean? But I really like working out with my wife. You know what I mean? Like, but she likes working out in her home gym. I understand. And sometimes she'll ask me to come out there, and I'll say no to go work
Mhm.
out in there. And both of us are missing an opportunity to, connect. Like she's trying to give me in her space. I'm trying to get her in mine. But both of those would be like considered bids for connection that we're missing. So off
Right.
the top of your head, I don't want to put no pressure on y'all. But Toya Q, do y'all have can think of any opportunities that y'all like maybe miss on those little bids for connection?
Yeah, I really didn't. I ain't really never look at it like that, what you said, but she asked me to go to the store with her all the time. And most of the time, if I know she's going to get something little, but like, nah, you can go ahead. But it be that little ride that we got along that she craving. And sometimes I miss that opportunity because I am doing something else.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't recognize that at first. That's good that you said that. Like,
That's what we
right.
do for, man. I want everybody to take an opportunity to recognize these little moments, man, that we missing. You know, we are looking at them as burdens, but actually we're just disconnecting from our partner. You know, Latoya, what do you got anything you can think of off the top of your head?
Yes, sometimes what Miss Johnson was saying is absolutely true. Like there are just some demands that feel so overwhelming that I don't do those small bids of like picking up the phone to call and say, "Hey, what's up?" It's usually a quick text, but sometimes my husband want to hear my voice or see my face through that communication. And I, like he just said, I don't always recognize how important that is. So thank you for bringing that up, Miss Johnson. Like that is really, really important. And it's something I know that I miss sometimes because I just feel like life is taking over.
And I think you said it that's so wonderfully when you said my husband wants to see my beautiful face. He wants to hear me. He wants to take me in. You're in love with your partner. You know, you have a long-term relationships and the small moments where you can have the essence of each other, it's important to continue to add those in, but it's hard. You know, you have a lot on your plate with one maintaining the relationship, but two, when you've built a family, when you have a career, when you have outside family who needs you, who has demands on you, it becomes a priority when you make it a priority to ensure that the relationship comes first. Not the kids, not your parents, not your job, your relationship.
100%.
True.
Chris, you think of a time where you've missed?
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for letting us go last too. Uh, I was thinking about that. Yes, man. So I'm a tech guy, and some of this, the working on the house stuff. Oh man, it eludes me. And Maria is a country girl, and she's used to her dad or everybody working with their hands, and that's just not me. And I've realized that she kind of needs that or expects that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And I've missed a couple of opportunities to do stuff like that. Now we try to take like little dates to Walmart and do stuff like that, but as far as that manly stuff, I can't say manly stuff, but just stuff around the house that's expected. It just goes over my head sometimes. You know what I mean? Because like Ms. Johnson said, I'm focused on a lot of running a lot of different things, and that stuff kind of goes in my head. I've been trying to be more intentional about it, but yeah, that's one of the big ones for us.
Yeah. What
For
you think?
me.
You think of anytime you miss an opportunity to connect with Chris, or he's trying to connect with you emotionally?
I think I used to. I used to be the one that was like, "Hey, let me just go to the store really quick," or "I'm gonna get the kids and just go do this real quick." But I think since Chris has really showed me just like, hey, spending even the like Mr. Q was saying, just a ride to the store. He's like, just those 5 little minutes to go to Walmart. And I tried to be more intentional about that because it's true. I was the one that was always kind of rushing. And I tend to think about it a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, she's doing a great job.
So I used to, yes, I used to, because there were a lot of times that I would much rather just, like I said, just rush and go get something. Like, no, 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 you're okay. Like, I don't want you to get up and be bothered. Like, I'm just gonna go do this. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Is it better?
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
She's doing really good. And now our kids are getting a little older too. We can leave them here by ourselves and just, like I said, just cruise to Walmart or whatever and just leave them here. So
It's a
we've been
beautiful,
trying to be more intentional about that.
it's a beautiful time in life, for sure.
Absolutely. We forget all the time that a bid is an invitation, and you've got to provide that invitation to your partner to come along in whatever is going on for you, whether that's even a small little space of a break so you can be partners together without your children intervening.
Jeannie, I want to talk about one of the major. And listen, if you're in the chat, listen. Nobody's left no comments yet. I don't know what's going. Usually don't take this long for people to start commenting, but listen. Talk to me about any opportunities that you or talk to me about something your partner does that makes you feel seen, something small or an opportunity that your partner is missing, or something that you try to do to connect with your partner and it doesn't always get seen or felt. Please throw yourselves in the chat, man. I don't know what's going on. Feeling disconnected from y'all, like y'all not out there, but I see y'all. I see y'all in numbers is out there. But Jeannie, let me ask you. I think I want you to talk about an opportunity that a lot of people miss. Is that's when they try to downplay compliments, right? So, your partner compliments you and you dismiss it.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, talk to me about how that can be detrimental or eroding relationships.
Absolutely. I mean, I think so many times when couples are talking with each other and looking to move they're looking to transition from whatever's happening in the now to something else. Like, so I have an idea in my mind. I'm looking on at my wife, or I'm looking on at my husband, and maybe they're busying themselves with something, finishing up the last portions of work, or I don't know, cooking dinner, something to that effect. And I come in and I'm complimenting them on how good dinner smells, or hugging them from behind or something like that. And they're just trying to get finished. So they kind of shrug things off, or they dismiss so they can maintain focus on whatever it is they're doing. I always remind couples that when you're getting so focused on something going a specific kind of way and you're so attached to something moving just in the way you want it to, you're missing the opportunities and invitations around you. I often tell people that because they get so lost in it and so engrossed in it that they're just not recognizing these like amazing moments, especially when you're someone who says to your partner at one point or another that I feel underappreciated, or you feel disconnected, or like they haven't been around or haven't been understanding you in some time, and they're giving you these like small instances where they're trying to show you, hey, I see you, your food smells good, hey, I see you, you just picked up those pencils for me the other day, like that's super awesome of you, you're really sweet for like hearing me out. Did you say that? Did you follow up with that? Because that was a bid from Donna, right? Saying, I hear you. You're someone I want to feel comfortable. You're someone who I want to feel like they're seen and heard. We've got to follow up, bid after bid. It's like reciprocal,
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna follow it up too. With something that Donna does, like for instance, I will compliment her either a body part or tell her she's beautiful or something, and she will follow it up with some type of insult to herself or some type of joke.
Yep.
And that is a misbid for connection, because over time, that erodes relationships. Like you have to lean into gratitude sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
And let's not forget, though, because this goes a little bit deeper. I'm going to take it to another level here because I think it's really important. The bid is there. It's the compliment, right? And you see your wife having a reaction to it. That's a rejection, not necessarily of you, but it sounds like there's an issue of self-consciousness, or there's an issue of her own personal understanding of self that may be happening. So if we see that, we can push a little forward, like, hey, hold on a minute. Don't talk about my wife like that. I just gave my wife a compliment and you're undermining it, and you're speaking to the negatives or to whatever else about you. Hold on a minute. What's going on with that? Because I think you're beautiful. Hold on a minute. What's happening here? because I think you're looking really good today, or I think you sounded really good today, or I really appreciated the way you handled things with the kids today, even though maybe you didn't feel like you showed up like your best. I feel like you asserted yourself with them and you told them how to move forward. And if it didn't come out as pretty as you want, hey, listen, that's parenthood.
Yeah, no, that's important. I think one important word you said in there was rejection, because you're walking a fine line, right? You have to recognize also that her doing that is not personal. Like, it's not anything personal. That's something totally within her. It's internal. But at the same time, constantly doing that does start to feel like rejection. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to tell you that I think you're attractive. I need you to have some gratitude for that. But we need to also talk about why you don't feel attractive as well. We can have conversation about that, after you say, thank you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I see you smiling, Donna. You're caught. What's going on?
No, I have to remind her something.
I don't deny it.
Right.
But I did thank you today, though.
On
the drive back.
Oh, right.
Did,
You surely
so.
did. Yeah, we went through all the emotions. This weekend, we went out of town and we went through all the emotions back around, but it always comes back. I think the lady in the hotel lobby asked us, what's the secret of 17 years?
Yes.
And you got to always be willing to, work it out.
Yeah.
You got to always be willing to, have conversations. Like, that's just, when you stop having the conversations, that's when it starts to get a problem. But hey,
we told her keep learning.
Yeah, you gotta be like, here we are on our 17th anniversary, celebrating our 17th anniversary, and we learned, I feel, I don't want to speak for you, I learned a lot of things about my wife this weekend, and about how I approach her. And it's very relevant to this conversation because we're talking again about little bids for connection, that I was missing, or little opportunities that I wasn't taking to engage with her the way that she wanted me to engage with her, and vice versa. You know what I mean? It didn't come out the right way at all. It didn't come out the right, but I heard her, she heard me. Now, we didn't talk about it till the next day, but we heard each other. Right. But so let me ask y'all, man, is there any opportunity, any time do you, and this, I hate asking these questions off the top, making y'all think off the top of your head, but I'm doing it. You always answering these questions, bro. So that's why I always go to you first.
Man, it's good, bro.
You always amaze me how you come up with answers to these questions.
Hey, I'll be working on this relationship every day. Like, I know, let me let you get to your question, but she be mad busy. I'll be busy. We got the smaller grown up. So I try to work on it.
Yeah. Was there any times where you feel like you're mistaking those bids for connection as like criticism or nagging?
No, Toya don't do too much nagging, but she will throw a compliment like, well, I didn't need you to say that. And it's like, I said that because I wanted to. Like, I know you probably didn't need to hear it, but yeah, you're a great mom. Yeah, you're a great wife. Like, you're doing great. And I fell in that much. Like, don't, tell me you're failing at something and, I feel like I'm not a great mom because the kids stay in their room and play the video game. Like, nah, they're teenagers going through puberty. They don't want to be in their mom's face all day. So it's like sometimes she don't take those, but she don't do too much nagging. She a little firecracker, that, but she don't do too much nagging.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, bro, sis. I'm really so proud of you, man. So proud of you, man. Like, God. Yeah, bro. What about you, Toy? You ever mistake some of it for criticism or nagging? Just mistake. That's why I'm not saying you do it, but you're mistaking it.
So something that you had asked about that came to my mind was, I don't always do a great job of receiving gifts. And it's because I think I'm just used to giving and I'm not great at receiving. So where it is a good and important thing that he does very often, sometimes kind of just like, I could do better at receiving gifts, like actual gifts. I'm not saying like the gifts of exchanging our love and all that, not that, because we do compliment each other quite a bit. I'd be like, baby, you fine, like stuff like that is regular around our house. Like our kids would tell you there's a balance between the pop off and the affections and whatnot. But I'm just kind of not, I've never really learned how to be a good gift acceptor, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I can see that as something, it's a compliment. I think to give a wife a gift, and he gives great gifts, but I just have a weird energy when it comes to saying that was really a great gift, or like I think my response isn't always what he expects, so it could come off kind of like that rejection that we were just discussing. So that's something I recognize. I'll do better. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really feel like, talking to the audience again, I always promote in my sessions gratitude. Okay, gratitude. For instance, hey, I'm sorry I'm late, versus saying I really appreciate you waiting for me. Little bit of turns, because I'm always stressing to Donna, like, you constantly apologizing for stuff.
Yes.
And her mother does it too. They both do it. They both run here apologizing for nothing. And I'm like, you got to stop doing that, because what that does is that's eroding our relationships in the home. I want you to start turning all the things that you want to apologize for into gratitude. Okay? That becomes, don't therapize me, but
Like I'm apologizing, like it kind of sounded like that woman or something, like I'm sorry. It's not like that type of apology. It's just like if it doesn't go his way, then I'm quick to say, oh, I'm sorry that didn't, that didn't work out. That doesn't sit well with him.
Yeah.
If anything, a little speck of dirt on the floor.
No.
Well, you gotta be, if Joe was really therapizing, he'd be careful with giving attention to the times when you aren't giving what he would want you to give, right? When we give attention to the behavior that is the behavior we'd like to extinct, we subconsciously fuel the behavior, right? So saying, I don't want you to say this, or I don't want you to do that, or don't apologize, actually creates more attention to the negative, let's say, behavior. When you are wanting something to occur, you compliment it and you positively reinforce it when it happens. So Donna is behaving the way that you would want her to, or showing up the way that you would like her to, or that you prefer, you give an overreaction. Wow, I love that. You just were giving all this gratitude about this. Or, oh, you were sympathizing with me over an issue versus apologizing that the issue was happening to me. I love that. That means a lot to me. Thank you for being that way. Thank you for saying that. So if he was really therapizing you, Donna, it would sound a little bit more like that. But it's also a very positive thing sometimes be therapized. Just
it's
as
a positive thing. It's a positive thing to, because what it is
it means you're loved. It means you're loved.
It's also emotional growth. Like emotional intelligence is rising. The person that I was before didn't have the language to say the things. I was doing it all wrong. Like I was saying all the wrong things and handling and going about things all the wrong way. And I understand that maybe you got used to that. But then we're talking about bids for connection. All of this therapizing is just me trying to connect.
That's fine when you're trying to connect as my spouse. I'm not your client.
The world is my client.
Oh no. I'm not even touching that, my friend.
Yeah,
no way.
I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just playing, chat. I got a question for Chris and Maria, because Chris, you said something earlier about Maria's dad and brothers doing all this stuff. I'm wondering sometimes with y'all, like cultural difference, because you blackity black and she full blown Mexican, right? And y'all grew up in those cultures, you know what I mean? Do y'all sometimes have to lean into that cultural difference in order to connect? Like, do you got to sometimes just like understand that, hey, this is the Mexican way we do things. And Maria, do you guys sometimes understand, hey, I ain't grew up doing it that way, you know?
But yes, when we like you said, we're growing up in totally different cultures. But what we decided to do was kind of have one goal for our marriage and one goal to where we're headed. And then if our culture gets in the way of that, we set that aside kind of to come together, trying to build something new, especially for our kids. Because if we lean too much on our cultures, I don't think it what we're trying to accomplish won't get accomplished. You know what I mean? So we do, of course, she is Mexican, I am Black, and we do understand that, but we try not to let it get in the way of us moving forward and getting to where we are. Just like I said earlier about her dad and her brother, they're manly man. Arturo and Mr. Puentes, they they work on everything, do everything. Where I sit at my desk all day. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, hey, even the lawn mode, or I mean, it's little stuff too, like that. Like that goes over my head. And then I had to realize that, hey, she is from that culture. So she is kind of expecting that. And that is not me giving up anything. That's me trying to bring us, that's still going towards our goal, recognizing her culture. You know what I mean? And so I kind of put that in, and that even went to our goal. So when I say we recognize each other's cultures, we don't just like totally disregard it. It just, if it's not in line with our goal, we disregard it. But if it is, I can do that. I can mow the lawn. I can do these things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think?
Maria?
I mean, it was hard at the beginning. We did argue a lot about, like he said, like the differences, because just like he said about the lawn being more mowed, I'll tell him like 1 or 2 times, and then I'm out there doing it.
Oh, she'll do it.
Or I'm, using the weed eater or anything like that. So those were a lot of like dumb arguments at the beginning. But like Chris said, now we have one goal and we try to just focus on it. Because, growing up like I did, we're used to, like, as moms, doing everything for our kids, even for my husband, but which, like I said, at the beginning was hard, but no, I think now we're getting it.
Trying to grow,
Yeah.
That's it. And not let each other get in the way of that, of our goal. So
yeah. Does it come into play when y'all like trying to raise y'all children?
Well, sort of, but like we let our kids know that the world's gonna see them as Black. When you see them, they look Black. You know what I'm saying? Now even they'll look at her, and even when they were little, hey mom, and the other Hispanic women would look at it like, oh, those are your kids. You know what I'm saying? And then the Black women would look at the kids. So we kind of prepared. Me, Joe, I'm intentional. So I kind of prepared my kids for what it is, for what the world's gonna throw at them, and then me and Maria try to show as much love and respect to each other in front of them, so that they understand that in this house, they're gonna get love and respect, because there is already gonna be people that hate them, or they're already gonna get hate out there anyway. So we try to bring in each culture and let them know both of the cultures, and they should be loved and respected no matter who they are, and love themselves. You know what I mean? And we've had, I don't know if I'll say this, but both sides of our family have had, like my mom early on, she was just like, what'd she say? She said, you don't see cats and dogs getting together. But I was like, those are two different species. But you see a Black dog and a white dog getting together. You know what I'm saying? We had stuff like that kind of came out that I didn't realize was in there. You know what I mean? From my parents. So I wanted to kind of distance my kids from that, from my mom and everybody, just so they don't try to mess up what we're trying to accomplish here. So we do have to, the cultures are there, but they come secondary to what we're trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? But we do recognize this country is mostly, Black and white, the struggles. So they're going to be seen like that. But they love their grandpas, grandparents from each side. They know they're half Mexican. You know what I'm saying? They're aware of everything, and we just want to make sure that they acknowledge that and they know who they're created to be. So we try to take all that into account, man.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, what I'm hearing is it doesn't really cause y'all at this stage. I mean, in the beginning, it caused y'all some conflict, but at this stage, y'all understood that you have to lean into each other's cultures to connect, which is the point that I wanted to, I was trying to make. You understand what I'm saying, Jeannie?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they run into like a twofold issue, right? It's the connection between one another where there are gender specific roles that come from culture. I'm getting the sense that Maria's culture, being Mexican, that there was likely a more conservative space and gender roles were very defined. So mom had a specific role of nurturer, caregiver for the kids and nurturer, caregiver for husband. And all of that became a part of her work, and she was raised in that capacity and learned that. And Chris maybe didn't have the same type of gender roles where maybe things were more collaborative or shared, or they just weren't defined, right? And so culture teaches us to live in a certain way, and then we get into these relationships with one another, get into these marriages, and maybe we haven't built our own sort of system, so we're just going on what we know. So Maria was kind of doing everything and showing up in every way and asking you to show up as the provider, protector, builder, type that is the masculine sort of role, right? And you're like, what do you mean? Like that everybody does everything, so no big deal. And she feels rejected in it, and she's like, well, I can't nag him. I wasn't taught to do that. I was taught to be soft and warm and nurturing. So let me back it up and I'll just take care of myself, like no problem. And so it created some distance initially, but then you start to build your own culture that seems to be much more in the middle, much more of a compromise, and that can be really helpful when you redesign the way that you show up and the way that you bid for one another. So I'm glad to hear it. Yeah.
Sure. Q, Jatoya, let me ask y'all a quick question. What are some like nonverbal cues that your partner has that show you that they need a connection? Like they're not saying anything, but you see it and you know it. Like what are some of those things that tell you, hey, he or she needs something right now?
Man, you know what I'm gonna do, bro. What all black men do. I'm finna tap you on the young you dig understand me. Like walk past, like trying to get off that phone. On the real, like come over here. Or I turn on some small, like I turn on a show that we was watching, like, hey, it's about to start. Like, I mean, I might not say it, but you'll hear the WB music or whatever, like
not the WB.
But yeah.
Aging yourself, my friend.
Right. But I'm just keeping it 100. Like that's me. I'm just
That's some facts. Yeah.
That could have went way left.
I'm just saying.
Great job. You did a great job of keeping it PG.
Yeah, you kept it PG.
I ain't know what. Thought we had a baby boy situation for you. I didn't know what
you
did a fantastic job.
No.
Brother. Yeah, you're right, Mike.
I'll just say it's a look. I'll just say that.
For sure.
What'd you say, Victoria?
It's a look.
I'll just say it's a look.
You can tell. You got a look in his face.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you, Maria, Chris? What y'all got some nonverbal cues that you recognize from your partner that know they? Oh, go ahead, Maria. Look like you got something.
I'm really on your mind.
He stops talking to me. Like it's just like very standoffish. I'll see it in his face. It's very obvious. So I know. Okay, he needs some loving.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Chris?
She gets a. What was the question again?
What are some nonverbal cues that you see in your wife to let you know that she needs? That's a bid for connection. She's not saying it, but you can look at her and tell she needs something.
Oh, when she gets really focused on like cleaning or like doing something to like get away from whatever problem we have, and I try to go up and hug her and kiss her, I kind of know that, okay, she kind of needs me, kind of has to. She gets kind of standoffish too, but kind of like with an attitude, like a real bad attitude. So, yeah.
So she cusses you out. Okay, got it.
Nah, she used to. That's not her. She changed now. So,
No, I mean, I
she used
noticed
to.
with the couples, the nonverbal cues are more um, airing on the, like it's a negative reinforcement.
Something like that. I mean, because I'm sitting here
Okay.
thinking about the question as I'm asking it, and I'm like, I don't know the answer to this question.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think that's
Okay.
true for us. I think it's very positive,
Okay.
but we're trying to keep it PG for the podcast.
Gotcha.
You don't
Understood.
do that.
Understood.
Do
Yeah.
that.
Understood.
You can be rated R if you need.
I'm gonna say I ain't gonna lie. When you asked me the question, I was trying to speak to my love language. My love language is physical touch. So sometimes I just come throw her hair back, and it might not be nothing, sexual or whatever, but I'll just do that to know like physical touch. Come kiss her, hug her. Like that's one of my love languages. So that's what I was meaning. I wasn't trying to get thirsty out here.
I think you did good. Yeah, no, it's good.
Very true, Dr. Vibe. It is a form of disrespect to downplay compliments. I can't stress that enough. I'm gonna keep
Wow. I
every
like that.
couple in the chat knows and understands when you downplay compliments from your partner, it is a form of rejection and disrespect. And I want everybody to be aware of that.
Tell them. You
Go
want
ahead.
to speak more to that? I know. I wondered if you wanted to just speak a little bit more to that. How?
Yeah. So, like I said, when you are not showing gratitude, okay, it's a constant erosion of relationship. Think about what that person's doing. Like you're in a great mood, you're in a great space, and you come into the room and you look at your partner. You like, you look gorgeous or you look beautiful, and they'd be like, "Man, shut your ass up." I can't. I look terrible. You know what I mean? Or this, this looks like this mess you're looking at. That looks attractive to you, and think about where that puts you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would imagine that would be pretty stark.
Yeah, but it happens, right? You're floating, right? No.
Oh, okay.
No, but you do, disrespect yourself a lot, sometimes. And I told you many times, like that bothers me, right? Because I like Jeannie said earlier, it really feels like that. Whoa, you are talking about my wife. You know what I mean? I don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't like that. I like you to, but I need to try to. It's tough because, like I said, it's a fine line. You know what I mean? Like it's a line between not taking it personal. Then you have to be empathetic and understand that that person may not be feeling great about themselves. But like Dr. Vaughn said, you downplaying a compliment. This is what I see.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to respect what I see and what I enjoy about you. And then on your own time, we can talk about what you see.
Well, I'm going to bring in another way of seeing this because I like for there to consistently be, especially where the audience is concerned and we're all learning here, there a recognition of an opportunity, right? So if a partner is downplaying a compliment or is having a hard time, let's say, ingesting a compliment from you, I see it as maybe it's an opportunity to see what else is going on. I mean, I think the scenario you just described where you're complimenting your partner and they say to you, man, get the hell out, like what, like that's got to be an opportunity for me. That's got to be an opportunity to get an understanding of what is going on, that the rejection is so great, is
Right.
so marked. That to me is an opportunity to investigate and just see what's going on that you're unable to receive. I think it was Toya who said this, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, Toya, but she says it can be very difficult for her at times to allow and to receive. And I think it's very common, I know it's very common experiential data wise and also just research wise. It's very difficult as a whole for women who are high producing, who are busy, high functioning, to allow and to receive. They tend to be more along the type of like, I'll do it myself, or I've got this, or I can figure this out. And so it becomes hard for them to experience things like gifts or sometimes even acts of service become difficult for them to receive as well. And I think that is true many times for people when they're rejecting compliments. It's like receiving those words of affirmation, receiving those loving, that loving verbal confirmation that you're wonderful, that you're loving. It's a personal insecurity. There's a personal something that's going on that, again, isn't personal to your loved one all the time. Now, I'm not saying that's always the case. Sometimes get the heck out of my face means get the heck out of my face. Like, I don't, we're not connected. Like, sometimes that's very much true. And it's unfortunate, but I want to also advocate for the person who this is an opportunity to investigate more and really understand like what's happening here, that this bid is being projected in that way,
No, for sure. And I want to be clear. What I'm talking about, and I agree with you, and that is an opportunity. What I'm talking about is a consistent rejection of the compliments. Like over time, every single time I compliment you, you're rejecting. Now it's starting to feel like an attack or disrespect or erosion. But definitely, if a person is rejecting in a harsh way, like I just gave an example, that is an opportunity to investigate what's going on, and you should definitely take the opportunity to explore where your partner is mentally. I want to talk about what Chris said earlier about sometimes, or what Maria said. One of them said that Chris withdraws. You can see that. It's a common thing, especially amongst Black men. We often withdraw and shut down because we don't know how to like express our emotions and feel safe and comfortable about it. I hate to speak like in a monolith, but in my experience, with my clients, it's a common thing for us to withdraw and not speak. But I want to talk about, do you guys know and recognize when you're disengaging from emotional connection? And do you kind of like have a voice in the back of your head that says, I'm withdrawing right now, I need to re-engage and try to get back here and say what it is that I need to say so that I don't miss an opportunity to let my wife or my partner know how I'm feeling in this moment? Do you understand what I'm saying? Q?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say yes, but I ignore that sometime. That voice, you know what I mean? And because you do want to just go back to being comfortable, and so when that happens, yes, I do get that voice, but by then I want to just go sleep on the couch. So I'll deal with it in the morning. You know what I mean? And so yes, so I do get that voice, but I don't. Sometimes I just give in and just go sleep on the couch until the morning, and then I feel better, and I try to love her and kiss her in the morning, and then she rejects me, and then it takes us because we work together too, so it takes us a couple hours to get back on point. By the time we come to the gym with you, we finally got back, but we done wasted hours and stuff. So yeah. So we need help with that.
I have some thoughts on that. I want you to speak to what you just heard.
Oh, sure. I think what I just heard is that there is a lack in some ways of debrief after conflict. And instead of us taking the time out to acknowledge that there's conflict and to work through it in the moment or make a plan to work through it at some later time and date, the two of them choose stonewalling, it seems, and avoidant tactics. And that can be really difficult because avoidance often breeds not only tension in the moment, but tension that tends to linger. And instead of a problem being put to the past and being closed out or resolved, it ends up we take the past into the present. So whenever I'm in a battle with my spouse, whenever I'm having a struggle with them, I can choose to live in the moment and in the present and work on moving things through and resolving things there. Or I can choose to avoid and push off and delay the solution, and then I'm bringing the past into the present. And so I'm bringing all of the past emotions, all the past harm, all the past hurts into the present. And that can be really difficult because living in the past and the present all at once can feel really overwhelming. So I imagine there would be a pause where there's like a high degree of contention that exists before you make things right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Toya, does Q do that? Does he withdraw sometimes when he's struggling with his feelings?
Yes. That does happen sometimes.
What do you do?
But well, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say something. But this is the thing I was gonna say. He does do that sometimes, and I try to give him space when it's time to, because he's very communicative about, like, this is what's going on. We need to address it. We're gonna talk through this when he's ready. So if he is in a space where he's withdrawing, I tend to just also withdraw for that moment. But if it goes too long, then I'm gonna get in his face about it. Like, that's just my nature.
Yeah, I like I told you before, Joe, on a couple episodes ago, like I tend to over engage. So sometimes I gotta learn how to be like, you know what, this ain't the time for this. I be one conflict resolution, and she's put me on to that behavior. Like, you want it when you want it, you don't want it when both of us want it. So I learned to like try to disengage a little more and not see it as a bad thing.
Yeah. No, I think y'all have the right recipe for the most part about how to handle that. I tell people all the time, like, you have to be willing to give your partner the space to cool off, or so to speak, or to walk away from the situation. But you also have to, have a reasonable amount of time to come back and deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not always perfect. You know what I mean? Like Maria and Chris said, they go a whole night. You know what I mean? Like me and Donna did that the other night. It took us a whole
It could be weeks sometimes on it.
Oh, it's too long. It's too long.
No, there's just been some. I'm just being real.
No,
like, there's been times where things don't feel resolvable for either one of us, and when we do try to get it back, it is another conflict. So it can turn into both of us stonewalling for more than a couple days. Weeks is an exaggeration, but
sure,
it can last way longer than we would want it to. But that's getting better.
Good. What I would say to you is the effort to resolve the situations that you're putting in is often better than stonewalling as a tactic. Avoiding each other is more detrimental oftentimes than trying to speak it out and trying to build a peace. Even if you have to say we're inside of a peace treaty for this amount of time. That means we're not bringing up the argument. We're not bringing up what the conflict is between the two of us. We're just working in a partnership so that things can go well in these areas of our lives. So we won't touch on that till we're ready, but avoiding each other, I'm glad weeks is an exaggeration. Even a day, it's just a very long time to be disconnected. It's a very long time. It breeds a lot of discontent. It breeds a lot of mistrust. It just breeds a lot of other things. So I would say if you could challenge, that's to Chris and Maria and you, Toya and Q, if you can challenge yourselves to within a couple of hours, even try, just make the effort.
You know what's so crazy, Dr. Johnson? She might won't talk to me for a while or even try to bring up the conversation, but she'll be like, "Hey, come get in the bed."
Yep.
And it's like,
it's often that seems unreasonable for some people. The people that are not emotionally well, what you just said, in a couple hours. No, I need days. I need weeks.
Days.
But that is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, some problems really aren't solvable. So you have to get to a point of acceptance. Like, there's certain things about your partner that are just not going to change. And you have to recognize or accept the fact that they're not going to change. So this is just part of who that person is. And some problems are very solvable, and you find solutions to those problems, and you have to know the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And recognize that your partner isn't just one problem that's not solvable. Your relationship isn't just that one problem that's not solvable, right?
There's way more to y'all than just
more to you. Yeah.
What do you do when your husband withdraws? Because he does that often and does it well, better than almost anyone.
Ouch.
It's a fact. I'm not
You
good
say,
at it.
what do I do to bring me back?
Or just how do you handle it? I mean, because it happens, right? I mean, it's getting better, I guess. But I'm wondering, like, how do you bring me back? How do you bring me back?
Well, the last time you did that, I just came and brought you a hot cup of tea. So it's just like I have to do little things to like show you, like, okay, yeah, you're not speaking, but
we go together.
Yeah, we go together.
Real bad.
It's not that serious. Whatever it was that we were arguing about, more than likely was not that serious. So here's a little peace treaty, like just let it go.
Yeah. That's
and
true.
Come out to the living room and let's watch a show.
Yeah, that's true. After a while, it starts feeling stupid.
And then you just stay in it deeper.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll be like, are you seeing something funny? But like, man, I want to send you this damn reel so bad.
That's when you realize it's more about ego. It's more about you wanting to be right than wanting to reconnect to your partner.
Yes, it's totally about ego, man. It's totally about ego. But what do you like, Gina? Let me ask you, and I'm gonna kind of get to going around everybody. But some like strategies that you typically throw out in your sessions to help people kind of, respond better to these little missed bids for emotional connection.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always, for me, it's about helping them to be more probative and to have more introspection about what is behind the behavior. So I always ask them, especially you just described a situation as that, I'm holding on to resentment, or I'm holding on to something that happened and occurred with my partner out of just pure ego. I don't like the way they talk to me. I don't like that. Like, I'm too good to be spoken to like that. Or, I do too much for them to be treated in that way. And it becomes more a part of ego than I want to actually resolve the issue. So I asked them, a question I heard a while back, which is, do you want to be right? Or do you want to be connected and loved and be loving? And it always boils down to that for me. It's, do you want to be in the midst of receiving and giving love, or do you want to be in the midst of tension and inside of fear and inside of questioning? What do you want for yourself? And you need to ask yourself that in those moments when you're struggling with a protracted argument or a protracted issue where you're literally, because we talked about dismissing bids, right? Where, you have these fights. And I think Maria and Chris were a good example of that when he said, I'm ready to go on the couch. He's like, he's pulling out. He's like, no way. I'm not going to deal with the tension of this. Like, I'll just go rest on the couch. Like, I don't even want to be in the bed beside her at this point because I can't live inside of the tension. It's just too much for me. And she's the next not wanting to talk to him. So being like, you know what? You slept on the couch. I can live without you too. I don't have to speak with you. It becomes this little battle back and forth, this battle of like, who can live without who for the longest, or who can be the stronger person and who can hold the line. Meanwhile, you're absolutely missing each other. Meanwhile, you're miserable because the tension is so high. Meanwhile, y'all still got them kids y'all got to take care of together and got to show, like a unified front with. It's just, and Maria and Chris, you work together. So we got to be at work, with the other employees watching us, looking at us in our business. I don't want that for my life. So I always ask, it's always more probative. Can you look inside if you ask yourself, do I want to be loved and loving, or do I want to be right and in ego? Usually people choose to be in love and loving, right?
Right. So listen, we're about to go in a little bit of overtime, but I got 3 questions that I absolutely have to get off. Okay. So I want y'all to give me, shorter answers, but I want you to say how you feel. Okay. So, Chris and Maria, I want y'all to, how long y'all been married, first of all? It's been a long time, like 10 years, right?
11.
11.
11 years. So when you think about the beginning and now, like what's like one small shift that both of you have made in the way that you connect that you feel has made like the biggest impact, or the way that you kind of deal with these little bids for connection? What is like one small shift that you made that has made the biggest impact in your relationship?
I think that made a commitment to love her versus like how she's acting. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying she's acting horrible, but instead of looking at her and be like, say, no, Chris, you said you love her. You say you want to be with her. You say you want to do this. No matter what she's doing, and that kind of changed the way I just react when she does stuff, or I feel like she's doing stuff. So
I think the same for me. I
yeah.
think just to keep in mind that I do love him no matter what, and everything that he's brought into my life is positive and more loving.
Oh wow,
So just be more positive for myself.
that little shit. Okay. What about you, cute Jatoya?
Mhm.
You go first.
For me, it's been not trying to take everything personal, no matter how she says it. I'm gonna internalize it, try to listen, and try to change, no matter how she says it. So I'm not gonna take it personal because I might not have liked what she said or how she said it.
Before you take Jatoya, remind me again how long y'all been together. I know y'all been married some years, but how long y'all actually been together?
We've been together 24 years.
So go ahead, Jatoya. What's one little shift that you made in all that time?
Remember when we were getting ready to join the pod and I said, like, literally today, some of the notes that you sent to us were helpful today.
Yeah.
Just having some of the right words to use when we're feeling like we're not in the best place personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing since we first were together. We were some kids. So we didn't really always have the right words to use when we were frustrated. But now that we've been together for so long, and my husband does tend to communicate a lot better than I do with the personal stuff. You know, I could communicate all day for work. I have to, right? So in the personal time, it doesn't always feel as easy. That's where some of that, cutoff might feel. You might feel that there. But the communication is way better. It's a long way to say that.
What you done, Marie?
I feel like it's more me, kind of like, was that Q that said not taking things personal and just trying to use the right words when I'm communicating with you. Because I know that what is in my Aquarius mind, the way it comes out is not what I meant. So it's like getting you to understand, and hear me and see me and what I'm trying to say so that you can receive it.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm gonna say that I've learned over time to like remove much of my ego out of our conversations and recognize that, okay, I'm really not right about everything. Sounds like, obvious, but it's really something I had to learn, you know what I mean? Like, and recognize that I don't know, as I'm, I've known Donna for so long since we were kids, right? And I be thinking I know everything about her. And the truth is I don't know everything about her. So I had to like really remind myself of that several times over to put myself in a position to like be able to accept new things about her and adjust. And she's also always evolving. So I had to make that shift. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fool to think that the 20-something-year-old girl that I married is the 40-something-year-old woman that's sitting here next to me today.
Right.
It's not the same person. So just
I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Second question.
It's never the same.
Looking back now, what do y'all? I'm gonna go to you, Chris and Maria. What do you now understand about emotional connection that you maybe didn't realize before when y'all were younger?
Unmute yourself.
It takes work and sacrifice. Like you have to, like to get past that barrier. You have to like sacrifice some things or give up some things, kind of. And it's not just like one time. It's like, hey, I got to do this again. I got to do this again. Then you start to think it's worth it. Is it worth it to do it again? Yes, it is. Then after a while, you can't lose forever, right? That's what I live by. So, um, you just start to grow. The more I let go versus the more I pack on. So I just learned that the more I let go of who I am and the more I focus on our goal, the more I'm emotionally, I can understand her emotions or I can receive them better, I guess. I don't know exactly to say that, but it was like me in the way. You know what I mean? Of receiving her. So
Yeah, I think the same for me. It's I would often like get upset because why isn't he understanding like
yeah.
this? Like it's so easy. It's not that hard. But just like learning that he grew up different than I did and we both are completely different people, I think has helped me.
That's huge. I think that's huge in a lot of relationships, not understanding that y'all are two different humans that grew up two totally different ways and experience the beginnings of love and emotional connection way differently. So, the way that you both understand love is different, and you need to learn that of each other. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not talking to just y'all specifically. I'm talking about to the couples out there as a whole. Understanding how you interpret love is a huge thing. So thank you for that, Maria. Toy and Q, what do y'all understand about emotional connection that maybe you didn't understand when y'all were younger?
For me, I would say that when I was younger, I thought emotional connection came out of physical connection, and now it's the opposite.
Woo! Said a word. You said a word. Okay. What you?
For me, is emotional responsiveness. Like I used to be like, well, you're not thinking logically, you're just being emotional about everything. And I had to realize that, it's a part of logic also. You just gotta learn.
Intuitive.
Yep.
What you, Donna?
I still think that sometimes I'm trying to figure it out. To be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
Where do you get lost?
Yeah.
Where do you get lost?
I don't know. For me, I feel like if I don't feel like I'm being heard, then I just shut down.
Oh, okay.
I guess you can say then it's being heard, communication, like listening. Like if I don't feel like I have your attention, then I don't have a connection.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that. And I think I'm sort of probably say the same thing Maria said. I feel like I'm just learning the part that I'm learning that we just grew up different. You know what I mean? So, and our experience have been different. Like, I lost my mother at 15. Her mother's down the hall.
Yep.
So like just that little bit of difference, and what I understanding what I developed into after losing my mother and what I understood about love is way different than somebody who has not experienced that same exact thing. So that's something I have to like recognize instead of like, you should understand what it feels like to lose your mother as a teenager. That's kind of what I grew up thinking.
Sure.
Everybody should understand that this is really difficult and it altered the way that I experience love, right? But now I understand that that's not the case, So I understand about emotional connection, and it's really helped me, I think, a lot in the way that I kind of deal with my wife. Okay.
Okay.
One last question. I'm gonna get y'all out of here, and then I'm gonna get Jeannie to give us some final thoughts.
Okay.
But what is the biggest piece of advice for couples that y'all have that want to create lasting emotional intimacy? Maria and Chris, why don't you answer first? 10 years.
As you know, we were high school sweethearts, and then we broke up, and then we got back together. And when we got back together, one of the most impactful things that we did was had premarital counseling, because it set like some expectations that we were not. I mean, they asked us how much we want to have sex every week, how much money do we expect, things that you don't think you should be intentional about, that we were just thinking that's gonna come. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? But when it just helped us put our mindset as far as being more intentional. So our expectations were a lot better, as far as what we expected from each other. And man, I think that really, really helped us. And of course, we had to grow more, but that set a foundation for us to where we could, oh, wow, there are things that we did not think about. And it's not all about she's pretty and I'm handsome, of course. And then, and then we just love each other. You know what I'm saying? It's more than that. We got a deep thinking because our parents didn't teach us that. Neither one of us, And so we had to forgive them, right? And then go to premarital counseling. And that just set this foundation for us that really, really helped. I mean, we still go back to some of that stuff today and just be like, man, we thank God that we had that. So we always, whenever we're big, and remember, neither one of us wanted to get married. We didn't want kids. And so when we did that, that really helped us. And we always tell people, whoever wants to get married around us or talk about marriage, go to premarital counseling, that really helped us a lot. Whether it's Christian or, secular, whoever, just get somebody who doesn't have that emotional connect. That's a professional and doesn't have that emotional connection. So the emotions are out of it. You know what I'm saying? Just thinking logically about what do y'all want and what do you expect from each other. So that's we always talk about, go to that premarital counseling. It helped us a lot.
Lisa, Maria, same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, because like you said, we just always reference back to, hey, remember they did say this and don't expect that. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And she's ever since then, I think she's been on this journey to like her own podcast, her own music, just trying to find herself. And I think that helped that too, because that's what they told us. Instead of 50-50, bring like 100-100. And we didn't understand that at first. You know what I'm saying? And so as we work on each other, so yeah, that's what we do. So, okay,
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, did they ask y'all how much y'all were going to work together?
We didn't know we were going to work together.
Yeah.
You mean?
No.
Okay.
I need to move on, but this always reminds me of how when I asked Chris to come up have lunch with me, and he sat in my office on my couch and said, "I don't know about all this therapy stuff, man." 10 minutes later, his shoes is off, his feet with the pillow. We didn't even eat lunch. He sat there for an hour and a half and talked to them, and we didn't even go eat lunch. Yeah, man, I don't know about this therapy stuff, man, but let me talk to you.
Right.
That works, man.
But now you talking about you went to premarital counseling, man. I'm learning something new about you all the time, brother. Okay, I got you, man.
We love that.
So yeah, man, what kind of advice do y'all have for couples trying to build emotional intimacy?
Man, I'm always like, I said all the time, man, be friends first. Like, be friends. Like that emotional connection is something you can't change. So like, I'm gonna give a small example real quick. Like our oldest son came up here yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And Milena and, our nieces and nephews came through. We wasn't seeing eye to eye. But once we all got with the family, we start talking more because we friends. We didn't have to talk about our marriage or what problems we had. We just still connected on a friend level. So we were still laughing. She was hitting me, oh, ha, ha, and we was still doing the emotional connection because we still just have a connection. So that's like my big thing. Just be friends first. All up the rest of the stuff will come later. You definitely have to work on that stuff too. But yeah, you friends first is always probably gonna work out at the end. And that's just my advice. Like I'm not saying like
I don't know. I get it, man. That was part one, brother. Part one of the series. The foundation for emotional connection is going to be friendship. Friendship. Toya, what do you say?
I definitely agree that having the friendship is very important, but I also think it's important to recognize if you are personally struggling and not be afraid to get individual help. I think that it's really important to have couples therapy, but sometimes something ain't got nothing to do with you, baby. It's a me issue. So you have to be willing for yourself as an individual to get the help that you need when you need it.
Absolutely.
And that way you can bring a better version of yourself to the relationship.
Another word.
So
Before
good.
I answer question for you for the Shaws. Since you got it all in your personal business, what brought y'all back together after y'all broke up from high school?
What
Look.
was it? Just
I think I just started talking to his cousin, connected on Facebook, and then he's like, "Hey, do you still talk to Chris? He's here." We just started talking. I was in love with him in high school, and then just stuff happened, and we separated. So we just connected.
yeah, just
through
got back
Facebook.
together. I was a knucklehead back in high school, so her dad took her away from me, and then and so that's what it was.
Good job,
But
Dad.
God brought us back to where He redeemed us. So that's what happened.
Oh,
So I will say that having tough conversations and running towards those tougher conversations sometimes, often, especially young couples, will avoid those tough conversations, and that's when usually bad behavior starts to arise, and things just go all the way left. So when you feel a certain way about something, do not ignore that emotion. And I know this is what I'm saying is very difficult for somebody probably who is young in your relationship to understand. But I want you to take that emotion and run towards it. Like, I feel a way when this happens. You can try to do it without being accusatory or putting your partner down. Like, when this happens, I feel a way, and this is what I need in this moment. So you give your partner an opportunity to have an honest response and reaction to the things that you're dealing with or the things that you're feeling. And that can be enormous. Getting some of that stuff. That's something that I wish I would have done earlier in my relationship and get some of these difficult conversations out of the way so they don't come back and bite you in the ass. After a couple decades of marriage, you know what I mean?
But do you think that having piggybacking off of my brother-in-law, that having that good, solid friendship, you'd be able to have those conversations, come back?
No. Here's what for me is what I'm gonna say no, because the friendship kind of makes it so you don't want to upset your partner, so you will avoid a lot of the difficult conversations. Like, I don't want you to be upset. I don't want you to be mad. I don't want you to feel bad about yourself. And part of that is what Jatoya is saying about individual therapy, because you will hear something. I'm not saying you specifically, but your partner will hear something and you become defensive about it. And now we're really in a bad space, right? And instead of recognizing that I'm talking about how I feel, you're internalizing it and it's triggering you, and now we're in a full-blown argument. And then once I see that one time, I'm going to be very reluctant to go ahead and continue to have these difficult conversations or bring things to you, because, like I said, I don't want to get blown up on, and I don't want you to feel bad about yourself. I just want you to be as happy as I can. And then sometimes your friend, you don't want bad feelings for your friend. So I think it could interfere with it, and I'll let Jeannie touch on that in a second, but that's my feeling about it. Do you have any comments or advice for long-lasting emotional connection?
Having a solid friendship base. Start there. That's my advice.
Okay. All right. Hearing all that, Jeannie, wrap it all up. And
Thanks. I appreciate that so much. I mean, so I'd say, I think the last question was really good and sort of helps to create this sort of all-encompassing understanding of what we talked about today, which is, creating space to emotionally connect to one another through sending out bids and accepting bids and the consequences of being dismissing and rejecting of each other. I think you've each learned over time, right, what it looks like when, one, like Toya said, you have insight to what's going on for you and whether this is an individual issue that's keeping me from connecting emotionally or whether this is an issue within our relationship. I think, sometimes we have this ability to gain perspective because, like Chris and Maria, we had distance, we had time apart from each other, we had room to grow. And so we got to grow individually, then come back together and use that and formulate our own culture to be better at accepting bids and emotionally connecting. Where some of you, I think Toya and Q, and you and Joe and Donna, obviously, you've had to grow like from very young age to your current big ages now. And it was a difficult trajectory, right? You didn't get that time necessarily to be on your individual, and you keep growing and you keep changing and you all keep evolving. And when you do that as a person, it's a great thing, but it's also a hard thing in the relationship, because the emotional tactics, tools I used to use when my wife Donna was 25 versus where she is now, they don't necessarily work as well. So I think, what this all boils down to is being ready to and willing to accept the opportunity of learning and growing with your partner, and recognizing what's yours individually that's keeping you from connecting, and what's a part of what you can work through in the relationship, and not taking too long or too much space away from each other to figure that out. I think when you're in the crux together, it really is the ideal space to be, because it's the two of you choosing each other consistently, choosing the connection, and to fix and repair their connection as often as you can. I do agree, though, that a solid friendship and foundation is a great thing to have in relationships. I find that to be irrefutable in some ways, in that, yes, we do often, when we have strong relationships, we're going to be frightened. We're going to be afraid. We may participate in avoidant behaviors so as not to hurt, so as not to cause strife. But sometimes we use those types of mentalities in order to keep ourselves stuck. So I might use the idea that, like, well, the last time I tried to tell you this, you got really upset, you got really angry, so I'm not going to talk to you about it anymore. That's my way of keeping myself stuck. People have a right to their emotions. They have a right to their feelings, right? They have a right to work on their expressions. And sometimes in a couple, you've got to work on that together. So if someone has had an emotional expression that has been overwhelming or has created a retreat, we don't retreat forever, right? We have to name that, hey, this happened in response to me looking to address or looking to confront a situation between the two of us. Here's how you reacted and responded. This creates for me hesitance to bring this again. Is that what you want? And if the answer is no, of course that's not what I want. You're my best friend. I want you to talk to me. I want you to be around me. I want you to be open to sharing with me and loving me and accepting my emotional bids. Then I'm going to push forward, and we're going to push forward and do better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeannie. Where can, if anybody's looking for you, where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can connect with me via Instagram. I'm For Love and Psych. You can connect with me via email, info@forloveandpsych.com. The website as well. You can connect, build appointments if you want to work with me. If you're in Minnesota or New York, I'm at www.forloveandpsych.com. You can also connect with me via LinkedIn. I'm just Jeannie Johnson on LinkedIn, but For Love and Psych is in the title. So please reach out, and I'd love to be in community with you.
Thank you very much. And the rest of y'all some entrepreneurs, man. So I want to give you an opportunity to shout y'all businesses out. And, if you want to do that really quickly. Chris?
Yes, we're thebusinessminds.com, where we help businesses craft an effective customer journey. And all that means is taking somebody from not knowing you to being a loyal client. And we have all the strategy and the software to help you accomplish that. So thebusinessminds.com, check us out. And we have a free community, and then we have a paid community too. So the free community is all about helping you build that solid foundation for a successful business. Thebusinessminds.com. There you go.
Thank you. And not only the podcast host, I'm also a client. Thank you. Q, Toya, you have anything y'all want to promote before we get off this thing?
Nope. Artificial intelligence is available on all streaming platforms. Fly Robotics, look it up. And I wanted to say I want to reach out to Chris and Maria, because I do have a business, but I'm trying to relaunch it. And happy 17th anniversary to the Corleys. We love you guys.
Love y'all, man. Love y'all.
Appreciate y'all, family. Oh, man. All right. And you can find me. Do you have a business you want to promote?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. You can find me at realuconsulting.com. I'm seeing new clients. Connect with me. You can go right there and set up your consultation whenever you feel like it. My brand is my brand. Y'all know what it is. Y'all can come back here every Tuesday night and see me on this podcast, Vulnerabilities and New Sexy. Next week is part 4 of our series, which is called, and I'm going to have just young couples on here. like couples.
Nice.
One very newlywed couple and 2 couples that aren't even married yet, but are very serious. So we're talking about shared meaning and future goals on next week podcast. I want everybody to tune in while we talk to these young couples about what these things mean. And I want all you guys to get in the chat and be throwing your conversations at these couples, or throwing your advice and your tips and your questions, mainly just questions, which I think is important for basically what we're talking about here. Be inquisitive, ask questions, and that is really one of the biggest tools and keys to emotional connection. Okay. I want to thank y'all for going into overtime with me and not getting frustrated with me. I really appreciate y'all for sharing y'all time. These conversations could go on forever and ever and ever because there's just so much information and thoughts that we want to get to, but we just don't have we just don't have the time to get to. But I thank all y'all for y'all insights. I really appreciate y'all showing up for me again today. And just take a moment to reflect and pay attention to your partner's bids for a connection this week. I want everybody to just take a moment when you see them, now that you are aware, when you see these bids for emotional connections, I want you to recognize them, and I want you to reflect. And I want to ask yourself, are you turning towards your partner? Are you turning away from your partner? Are you turning against your partner? Okay? I really want you to reflect on those things. All right? I love y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Joe and Jeannie.
And I thank you all for your story.